This is Tim Bryce with my column titled, Joe Biden's Coattails. The recent election on November 2nd was a small off-year contest, yet it was a major victory for Republicans and gives us a sense of what to expect in 2022 and 2024. During the election, the key Virginia positions went to the Republicans, including the governor's mansion, and it appears the State House is reverting back to GOP control. This news is significant as Virginia was a highly contested state, one which the Democrats were determined to control. Other contests included several House seats which switched back to Republican control, and Minneapolis voters rejected the notion of replacing the police with a public safety department, something Democrats have been fighting for. However, Virginia alone has put the Democrats and their news media into a panic mode. All of this adds up to several things. First, Americans are rejecting the liberal agenda of the Democrats and prefer common-sense solutions and smaller government. In Virginia, the key was school curriculum and the teaching of critical race theory. This resulted in vocal school board meetings and President Biden labeling concerned parents as domestic terrorists, something that enraged the parents. Beyond this, Virginia became a referendum on the national priorities of the president and the Democrats. The timing of the Democrats couldn't be worse. After being elected with 81 million votes, which was touted as the most ever cast for a presidential candidate, Biden's popularity shrunk radically in just 9 short months to a 36% approval rating, according to Zogby. Quinnipiac University has him at 38%, while Gallup and NBC have him at 42%, which is also low. Further, more than 2/3 of Americans believe the country is heading in the wrong direction, including half of the Democrats. Rasmussen supports this by claiming only 29% think the country is headed in the right direction. All of this is an indictment of President Biden's policies and the liberal agenda embraced by the Democrats. During the Virginia race, President Biden, Vice President Kamala Harris, and former President Obama campaigned vigorously, all for naught. Instead of concentrating on the Virginia school problem, they opted instead to draw a parallel between former President Trump and Republican gubernatorial candidate Glenn Youngkin, hoping they could touch on the anger issues of the 2020 election. Interestingly, it did not, and in the end it cost former Democrat Governor Terry McAuliffe the election. This means President Biden has no coattails for Democrats to ride on as we approach the critical 2022 midterm election, which will likely put the Congress back in Republican hands. In other words, his endorsement would mean the kiss of death to Democrats running for office, and they will find themselves alone, fighting for re-election. To take it further, the 2021 election will likely put an end to the president's $3.5 trillion stimulus bill, something the liberals desperately want. Adoption of the bill will simply be viewed as too politically risky for incumbent Democrats. And further, should this trend continue, I cannot imagine President Biden running for re-election in 2024, and there is nobody on the horizon to replace him, certainly not Vice President Harris. Frankly, Democrats should be unnerved by the results of the 2021 election, as it foretells the future. The Democrats simply went too far, too fast in pushing their agenda. Between inflation and the economy, illegal immigration, energy, and foreign affairs, the Biden administration has not enjoyed any success by any stretch of the imagination, and Americans are pushing back in the voting booth. Consider this. GOP candidate Youngkin was at a 10-point deficit just a couple of months ago, yet he hung on, rallied the state, and won handily as governor. Basically, he has carved a template for other Republicans to follow in 2022. Yes, this is how unhappy Americans are with the Democrat agenda and President Joe Biden. Friends, keep the faith. This is Tim Bryce in Palm Harbor, Florida. Follow me on the internet at timbryce.com.